is the theme to the show. The show is all about you. Not you, but you and your stories. Because everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Brought to you by JeffSeltzer.com.
Hello and welcome to Everybody's a Story with Jeff Seltzer. I am your host, Jeff Seltzer, and I am back from the break. Now, what you'll see or hear at this point is I'm not alone. So while I do have a guest for the show, I am welcoming my co-host for this show, Megan Fernandez. Megan, how are you today?
Hello, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. So glad you've joined us once again. So for those of you that don't remember, we have had 3 episodes where Megan has graced us in the past. We've talked Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. We've talked Epic Universe. And we talked just Disney as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Those are 3 topics?
Yeah.
Awesome. So again, thank you all for joining. And again, this is the first show back from the break. So obviously it'll take me a little time to get the rustiness out, but we'll figure it out. With that said, I did want to talk a little bit about some stuff that has happened over the break. So as you guys all know, about 6 months ago, I rebranded my TikTok as Everybody Has a Story Pod. Previously, I was using my own personal at Seltzer777, but I figured, you know what? I started posting more of my content from the podcast, so I decided to use this as it is. I've been trying different things and trying to figure out what kind of gets hits or not. So about a year and a half ago, my first big TikTok, I guess you would call it, got about 2.5 million views, which was great. It's 2.5 million views, 80,000 likes. Like, it was insane. Since then, I posted a lot of stuff, mostly show clips, and I don't really get much more than like 500 to 600 views and maybe a dozen or 2 dozen likes. So trying to figure out what the recipe is. A few weeks ago, I was at a wrestling show and I posted a clip. The clip so far has, I think, 23,000 likes. 23,000 views and like 1,000 likes, which I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then this past weekend, when I was at Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Orlando, I posted another clip, this time of Art the Clown, which is really cool, by the way. And for this one, it really just mesmerized me because I think as of right now, as of recording, it's got about 11,000 views and about 2,500 likes. So for me, it's looking at it, so the combination of the views and likes. So it's like a 25% click through, which is insane. Like, any manufacturer or advertiser will look at that and say, that's true engagement, right? Like, you can get a gazillion likes or a gazillion views, but unless consumers or people are looking at it and are interested, it really doesn't matter. It's just kind of getting fed and they're skipping through it. So I'm trying to figure out like the best way to do it. I guess kind of find things that are super interesting to people besides myself, and then pepper in clips from the show every once in a while. Probably works for me. Megan, I know you're super active on TikTok. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit in terms of like what your mindset is? So I know I think you post like almost daily. Like, do you have kind of like different ideas in mind? Like, I saw you had one clip from, I think, talk about DVC that went viral-ish or whatever. Like, where's your head at, or do you kind of throw stuff out there and see what sticks?
So just like you, I had like a personal TikTok that I used to just be a lurker. And then I was late to the game. I don't think I downloaded TikTok till 2022. And I really just kind of would scroll, never really engaged. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I think I could do this. It seems that, I'm a big consumer of it. Maybe I can interest people like they interest me. So, for me, it's kind of like a daily diary almost of what's on my mind. And we had just wrapped up a 5-night stay at the Grand Floridian. I was able to bring my parents, gift them a room with our DVC points. So I was really just like talking from my heart. Like, if you get a chance to buy into DVC, if you've always thought about it. And I was honestly just like kind of memorializing our trip, and yeah, it just blew up. I same like you, like I would get likes here and there, views here and there, and then it was just like notification after notification after notification. So yeah, I think I'm at like, I don't know, 10,000 likes and 250,000 views or something. And but yeah, for me, it's really just kind of what I'm interested in. I'm not super fantastic at anything in particular. I'm just good at being myself, and that's that's really what I use it for. Engagement. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work very part-time. So it's nice to have a community of like, my friends are working. I can't bother them all the time. My husband's working. I can't bother him. So it's really just like that engagement when to talk about things that I am passionate about.
Nice. So it's funny for me, I first got into TikTok because it was probably, I don't know, 5 years ago. A buddy of mine would just send me random TikToks. Like I didn't have the app, I didn't have a profile. And, I click on the link, take me to the web version. And eventually I think I was under the influence one night. And I was like, I should download the app and maybe create an account or something. Like I didn't post any content, but I was like, what, let's just
Drunk
probably be easy at this
TikToking.
point.
That's daring.
Why not, right? You start scrolling through and see what happens. And then over time, I was like, let's post something. And I posted one thing. And like I said, I got probably a few hundred views. Probably something dumb I recorded off the TV, or it wasn't even content of me. It was just something silly. And then, like I said, I think I did like 5 or 6 that didn't do much. And then I had the big 2.5 million view video. And all of a sudden, my older content just started getting more views too. Because I guess at that point, people found my book. And it's just always crazy to figure out what feeds the algorithm, right? Like,
I know.
What all of a sudden is going to take off and what's not. Because traditionally, I mean, I think Megan, you saw it. Like over the weekend when I was at Helios at Universal, what I thought was going to be a great video of basically my hotel curtains opening, and it's a big view of Epic Universe. And to date, after like 4 days, I think I have about 200 views.
Yeah, so it's never the ones you think that are going to blow up. It's never those. It's the silly ones that you don't even edit and you just post.
Yeah, or I guess nowadays if you put like 6, 7 or something like that in the video, somehow it goes viral.
I know. I really do think though, like I'm a long-winded person. I like to talk, and TikTok, people want like 7 seconds and then they're on to the next. So it's hard. Yeah, that's hard for me. I feel like I'm not, I mean, I can talk and talk, and it's definitely like you either got to grab them right in the beginning or they're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, again, I would say, social media is definitely, a big thing. TikTok has definitely been something that you and I have been on a journey on for a little while now. And in a moment, I'm going to introduce our guest for this week, who coincidentally I met via TikTok as I slid into his DMs, as the kids would say, and said, hey, you've got an app for Disney that you've created that looks pretty cool. So I'd love to, talk about it on the podcast, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, I wanted to get through some of the plugs. So as everybody knows, we are on Instagram at Everybody Has a Story Pod. My personal Instagram is at Seltzer77. As mentioned before, my TikTok for the show is at Everybody Has a Story Pod. YouTube for the show is also at Everybody Has a Story Pod. You can email the show directly at everybodyhasastorypod@gmail.com. For all things Jeff Seltzer, you can always check me out at jeffseltzer.com. We are on all social platforms. We're also on all podcast platforms. So we are video on Spotify and YouTube. We are on audio, audio on Spotify and YouTube, as well as everywhere else. So we're audio on Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora, pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast, you can probably find us. So tell all of your friends, tell all of your neighbors, tell your neighbors' friends, your friends' neighbors. Go check us out. Let's see what we can do. With that said, as mentioned before, I did want to introduce my guest for this week is Rick Franklin. Rick, how are you today?
Hey, everybody. Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. So as mentioned, TikTok is basically what brought you and I together. I was doing my usual doom scrolling, probably just, whatever I was doing. And your post just caught my attention. The fact that you have an app called Mouse Life. I'm a huge Disney geek, as is Megan. So I'm always looking for different ways to consume and to kind of enjoy Disney World. So I was like, this seems pretty cool. Sent you a DM and you responded, and the rest is history. So here you are today. So with that said, Rick, would you mind giving us a little bio on who is Rick Franklin?
Sure. So I was I got into tech a long time ago. I won't date myself, but I was a military guy for a while, did tech there, got out and went to a family business for a little while. It was a flower business, totally different than what I do now. Exited that when we sold the business, and then got back into tech and have kind of been there ever since.
Nice.
So
thank you for your service.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Service. Awesome. So Rick, thank you for sharing. As Megan had said, thank you for your service. So I do have lots of questions, as I'm sure Megan does as well. Sure. But first wanted to kind of get into, I guess, kind of like the history of like Rick Franklin, like where you kind of come from more. So obviously we're here to talk about Mouse Life, which is an app that you've put together, which we'll dig deep into in a little bit. But Mouse Life is obviously it's tech, it's an app, but it's also Disney World based. Did you go to Disney World a lot as a kid, or kind of like what are your early memories of Disney World, if you remember them?
So I grew up between Atlanta and Orlando, or Tampa, Orlando. So as a kid, we definitely spent time in Disney. And then when I left the service and came back to Orlando, there was definitely some Disney time in there as well. I took a hiatus from it, I would say, for a long time. And then I met my wife, Kelly, about 8 years ago, and she was a massive Disney fan. So all the things, annual pass, DVC, all the things Disney, a couple of times a year with the kids.
Nice.
It was a requirement, the painful first week of rope drop to park close and get up and do it over again. Right. So that was I thought I knew what torture was from some military stuff, but that was a whole new level that was like a whole new experience.
She sounds like a lovely woman.
Yes. So that's kind of what got me back into Disney. And then we've just really enjoyed it.
Nice. So it sounds like as a family, it sounds like your wife's always been kind of like a Disney girl, kind of like Megan and myself. Sounds like you growing up did it, but then eventually, obviously as a family, it sounds like you guys have a lot of shared memories and you've done a lot of awesome things together at Disney World, which is amazing. Any specific park that you like, or do you kind of celebrate the whole Disney World?
That's a great question. I think there are elements from each park that I really enjoy. So, probably Epcot or Animal Kingdom if I had to really pick.
Okay.
Animal Kingdom's really laid back. I love the vibe of Epcot. Certainly all the festivals. I don't know. That's a tough one because there's parts and pieces of each park that I really do enjoy.
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah, and now that the kids are older, and we do a lot of solo trips too, just my wife and I, and it's interesting to see like Beacon Barrel and some of the other stuff that they're kind of putting in.
It's so different, right? When you can enjoy it where you don't,
different.
You don't have the guilt like you're leaving kids behind, so you can really enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's great.
Definitely. Like for me, it's been interesting. Like, so I'm almost 48. Actually, I guess by the time this episode drops, tomorrow's my 48th birthday. So
happy birthday.
Almost, thank you. It's Tuesday,
Very
I guess.
Cool.
So we'll pretend that we're taping this on September 29th. So we'll see. So it's interesting. So I have two daughters, 17 and 15. And just, I guess, experiencing Disney World like throughout their life stages has been interesting. So like my wife and I went before we had kids. Obviously, that's one experience, right? Yeah. And then as they get old, as we had kids eventually, like going with them when they were like 2 or 3 or 4, it's a very different experience, right? Because it's kind of more around their schedule and trying to figure out, okay, what time are naps and bedtimes and such. But now that they're 15 and 17, like they far outpace us. Yeah. I have severe motion sickness. Like Allison, my younger one, did Guardians 6 times, I think, in a row back in June. Like if I did it once, I'd be down for the night. So it's just, it's insane. But like, it's fun to see, and it's kind of fun to watch it like evolve as like we all get older and like share it as a family,
Yeah. We're a blended family, 5 kids. So I have 2 older kids in the house. So for us, I kind of went through that same experience. Yep. So I got to do it the first time with my kids, not quite as much by the time because we moved around a little bit, but going back with Kelly, who's such an avid Disney fan, and her kids, I think our youngest was probably 8 the first time I went with them, 7, maybe even younger than that. But it's been a wild ride with them, and kind of the same thing where you watch them evolve and the things that they love change.
Yes.
10 years ago or 8 years ago, I guess, they'd never have left the park. Got to be there when it opens, got to be there when it closes.
Yep.
Now they're really selective. They're like, okay, I want to go do this and this. Yep. And it's okay to go back and do a resort day with the pool in the afternoon, right? Stuff like that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say to add to that point, like for us, like, so years ago, like in 03, 05, 06, we would go like once every 3 years. So when you go so infrequently, like you feel like you have to do everything every time. But as Megan was mentioning earlier, like my family is Disney Vacation Club. So we're there oftentimes a couple times a year. So we don't necessarily have to do everything every time because we're kind of like, oh, if we don't do it this time, we could do it next time, right? So we kind of select different things. We try to find something new every time we go. But there's not the pressure that like, hey, this is a once in a lifetime trip. And if you don't do it now, it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we, it's funny. We kind of you kind of get in your comfort zone too of this is the stuff we like to do. And
Yes, we say that
Right,
every
when you
trip
do
that
that-
we're going to try new stuff, and we never do.
that's part of what we did in the app was kind of
I was
force
going to
us
say, now I
yeah.
have this cool
Yeah.
app.
So I think that's a great intro into the app. So let's skip ahead. You know, we obviously all been to Disney World, cumulatively a gazillion times between the three of us. And so Rick, you have an app called Mouse Life. For those that don't know, Mouse Life is available. It's on iOS. Is it on Google as well, I assume?
Yeah, it's on Android and iOS. Yep.
Cool. So it's an app, a smartphone app, as any other app would be. And it's a really cool. So I tried it out last week when I was in Disney World. There is a 3-day free trial if you do download the app and log into it and set up a profile. And it's basically, and Rick, keep me honest here. It basically basically gamifies like the experience at Disney World. So similar to how like if you have an Xbox or PlayStation, like as you do certain things, you get achievements. Or if let's say you invest via Robinhood, like things happen as you invest or buy things, whatever. Like it almost like rewards you or gives you virtual things for experiencing things at the park. Rick, do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit more in terms of like what the app actually is and kind of what your you know what consumers should be looking for out of it?
So it that's a great intro description, and I think when I look at the genesis of it, my wife is big into taking notes and trying to keep track of what we've done and where did the kids like chicken fingers, what drink did we like, right? Literally those kind of things. And it was always, she's a big list person. So she does data analytics. Naturally, she's a super logical person and wants everything kind of written down. So for her, at some point, notes and Excel exceeded what we would carry things around the park, literally, because here was our itinerary and, all those things. But we wanted to do something that would let us track what we had done, but also what we hadn't done. And then it kind of evolved from there. And there's, you can see statistics on what you've done. There's a leaderboard. So there is some gamification stuff in there, but a lot of it is around that completionist view and how you go in and check things off. But there's a digital lanyard, there's challenges that let you earn digital pens. So that's, those are some of the things that are in there today. And then there's trips. So the ability to upload pictures of a trip that you've done, kind of save those memories, and all of those major elements you can share to social media directly from the app. So just kind of push a button and you get a JPEG.
Got it. And within the app, just keep me honest here, it has basically like every ride, every restaurant, like basically every experience you could do there within the park, right?
There's 791 things in there right now. And they're categorized, first of all, by park. Then the resorts have a section, and then there's Disney Springs and other are the, I think the water parks. And then we're doing there's some future stuff we're going to work on, like retired stuff, because we've had a lot of requests for, things that aren't there anymore, but people still want to be able to go back and say, hey, I remember doing that as a kid, right? Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Makes
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I still have nightmares
literally,
about that.
It's so funny that you say that. That's literally the one that I remember. We were talking about that last week.
Petrified me. I really thought we were stuck in there, and that's so funny.
That's so cool. That's too funny.
Yeah, Megan, you need to run off to Tokyo Disney because they still have it over there.
I know. No, I still have nightmares. I'm not kidding. Of being on that submarine and the bubbles going, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what got me into scuba diving or not, but that, I definitely remember that as a kid.
It was super fun, super fun. I downloaded it and I was checking off everything that we had done. And my husband had come home from work and I kind of like, oh, hi, and then he's like, what are you doing? And then he took over the phone. He's like, oh, well, we did this and we did this, check this. It was super. I mean, everything that you can think of was on there. So very impressive.
Here's the big question. What's your percentage?
Oh, I think it was 42%. No,
good.
I'm lying. I'm lying.
It had to be higher than that, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think it was.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it was 42, actually.
Yeah.
42%. Yeah.
Okay. I'm about 43. Oh. But I've got to go back in. I've got to go back in and do some check off on some things.
The hotels really helped bring up my score because having DVC, we've stayed in a lot of the hotels. But you're right.
So-
I do the same things in the parks. you
Yeah.
know?
We what did we do the other day that surprised? 8 Spoon at Animal Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
the food stand with like the mac and cheese.
Yep.
We hadn't done it before, and it was one of those things that we were like, all right, we're in Animal Kingdom, we have to check this off. It was
Yep.
fantastic though. Like the
Animal
food was
Kingdom is the best park for
It's so
food.
good.
I will stand 10 toes on that.
Better
one.
than Epcot, you think?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
think it's-
Epcot is, if there's no festivals, you're
But
kind
it's
of
always
like
a festival, though. You've got the
Yeah.
Flower Garden and Food and Wine.
I call it Diet Epcot when
Okay.
there's no festival, and I have not been there for a festival in a while because we go in August in that
Right.
weird in between. So
Oh
Yes.
God.
no, Animal Kingdom for the food and the
Okay.
drinks. It's rivaling Epcot.
We did my wife did a post, a TikTok or Instagram post, and it's this walk that we do every time we're there. It's always better like in the morning when it's quiet, but it's that beautiful walk kind of on the backside through it's
Behind
just,
the Tree of Life. like
yes,
back there.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
My
back
daughter
back
makes
through
me
there,
take pictures of
back
her.
around the
posting.
river, and
Yep.
we're just kind of like
Yep.
it's just kind of peaceful, and
So nice. Get your coffee, go back
Yeah.
there. Uh-huh.
so
Yep.
yeah, it is funny. I think that's one of the things I like about the Animal Kingdom is it's probably the quietest, and
Yep.
so
I agree.
that part's nice.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have the unpopular opinion of the Animal Kingdom is probably by far my least favorite park. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so I'm not a big roller coaster guy because as Megan will
Yeah.
tell you, I get sick on every coaster for the most part. So
My
basically,
wife does too, so she can't do them.
yeah, so I have the River Journey for Pandora, and that's pretty much, I guess, a safari. But like, it's one of those things where it's so much walking, and it's always so hot and just kind of smelly. That I don't know.
It's hot.
I did love. We stayed at one of the Animal Kingdom hotels through DVC a few years ago, which I thought was great. Like, you look out your window, there's giraffes, there's all sorts of animals, which was really cool.
Mhm.
When it came to the park, though, it's kind of like, it really isn't for me, I guess.
Oh,
You can-
yeah.
I
You
know.
can do that. I think Animal Kingdom is one you can do really quickly, or you can spend all day there. It just really
Yep.
depends on.
Yeah.
There are times when we'll pile over to Everest, and the kids will. It's like how many times can? I think their record right now is 12.
Oh, wow.
Oof.
Like 12 consecutive runs on
Ooh.
Everest.
That's impressive.
It is. I'm like, that's a dedication right there.
To be young again.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so you've got the app, which is obviously, as we said, a great way to kind of go through it and to understand, almost like make a game out of like, can we do everything at Disney and over a number of trips? Because I think it's virtually impossible to do every single thing like in any one given trip.
Yeah.
So what was
I
the,
would
what
be
was
impressed if somebody could
it'd be
do
a
that.
lot, right? Yeah. What was the impetus for the app? So obviously you come from a Disney family, but you also from a tech background. Like, how did this come together?
So we at the end of 2023, I was between jobs, and we had talked a lot about kind of this whole concept. We've been kicking it around a little while, and that was like a trigger to beginning of 2024. I started wireframing the app. Kelly helped lay out the database. We kind of figured out what we wanted to do, and then it went from there. So got a development team, kind of helped do the architecture, and we did a soft launch. I think one of the best things that we, from a proof of concept perspective, that was fun. We were on a vacation with some friends. I forget where we were. I don't know. We do one trip a year somewhere that's not Disney with a grown-up trip. So the girls are all sitting around the pool having a drink, and we kind of pull up the wireframe and start talking about it. And it's a group of Disney girls, and they were all like, "Oh my God, you have to do this." And this was like that January timeframe. So it kind of helped us solidify that it made sense. So we built the app. Had a tough time getting Apple to get it released because they said it looked a lot like Disney, and so there was a whole lot of iteration to get it to market. But we did a soft launch in August of last year, and then picked it up. Really kind of started pushing on it May, June this year. And Kelly threw some stats at me earlier, which I thought were pretty interesting. So 40,000 people downloaded it. There have been over 5 million things checked off in the app.
It's impressive.
Wow.
And 20,000 challenges completed
Nice.
out of that user base. So about a little over half the group does at least one challenge. So it was pretty neat. It's kind of cool to see people use it.
It is. So obviously, this is a small business, let's say, whatever. It's you,
Yes.
a little bit of a team, or whatever. Do you have investors? Was it kind of like you put, because I assume, and again, I know very little about this, but getting an app together isn't free, right? There's obviously costs. There's probably Apple fees to kind of publish or process, whatever. Like, do you have investors? Is it all on you at this point? Like, what does that look like?
We don't. It's all on us right now. So and yes, it is expensive. There was a lot to it, and it's funny because there've been like complaints about, oh my God, this should be free, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm happy to make it free as soon as somebody else pays for my Amazon hosting every month, right? and all the development costs. But but we're trying to put everything we can back into the app to continue to add features and functionality and those kind of things. So, but it's all on us at this point.
What kind of feedback have you gotten? Like, in terms of, I guess, share as much or as little as you want, like positive or negative, like what do people love the most about it? And like, what do people say, hey, you should work on, and like you might already have in the works so that you're trying to upgrade with?
So I think the biggest recent feedback we had, so we did have, I don't know, a month, 6 or 8 weeks ago. We had a bit of an issue with AWS. Okay. And the way we had something configured, they have what they call their Elastic service. So basically, the more horsepower that's needed, they can kind of turn it on and turn it off as needed. So we didn't have something configured right, and it got laggy.
Gotcha.
So we started getting some complaints about that, but all that stuff's been fixed. And it's just, it's just learning curve, right? It's stuff you don't know until you don't know. But people really seem to love the challenges. We did when Taylor Swift got engaged, Kelly threw up a 1-day challenge, were you in Disney? Where did you watch Taylor Swift get engaged? That kind of thing. So
that's great.
You got a digital pin for that if you were in Disney when, and you checked it off at that point.
Did Disney have to give you did they have any sign off on this? Are you allowed to use how does that work? Like,
So everything that we have in the app is original artwork. So we own trademarks and patents on the names, and they're not pending, they're issued. Mm-hmm. So, and we've been really careful to try to stay away from exact replicas of things that, you won't see. You really won't see anything with mouse ears, even though you technically could based on Steamboat Willie.
Yes, Screenboat, right?
Right. We've just tried to stay away from anything that would be contentious. And our goal was always, we wanted this to be companion, not competitive.
Sure.
So Disney has an app, and you have to have the app to do things, but it's a utility. This was meant to be fun, right? So this was really meant to be help you go explore, do things you haven't done before. Share this with friends, be like, oh, look, I'm at 60%. Where are you? That kind of stuff. And I will say that Google and Apple both are really, really strict on how they not infringing on Disney.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're kind of their own police relative to that. So, so we have had to do some rework on some things and be really careful, but we have a designer that does all of the artwork for us, or we do it, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
We try to steer clear of anything that infringes.
Is the app exactly the same on both platforms? So like, if Apple says they change X, do you change it the same way in both of them?
Yeah. So we use, and very purposely done, we use a common code base because we really want the functionality to be the same across both platforms. So it's helpful, if we do an update on one, when we release for both platforms at the same time. It just depends on how long it takes to get through the release cycle.
From idea to app, How long was that time? Because for me, I'm not a tech person. I just think these things happen. Someone does them, they happen. Like what was idea to release?
It was fast. I would say we chicken scratched, on a paper version January, February of 24, and we had a product in the Apple Store August 13th.
Okay.
So, I mean, I thought that was a pretty fast time to market.
Yeah.
Based on what we were doing.
Sure.
There were lots and lots and lots of very long days. So
what was like your unexpected roadblock? I try to imagine, like, what was the thing that really threw you for a loop? You didn't think it would be something, but it was.
Unexpected roadblock.
I like to plan for everything.
Yeah, so I do too, and having done technology for a long time, I thought I kind of understood where the roadblocks would be. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, there's going to be an A or a B, and there was always a C. Like there's always something.
Yeah.
So I think the two biggest were there's some architectural changes that we needed to make within the app to get it to function the way we wanted it to, so that we could update it more often.
Gotcha.
So we had to do a little bit of rework at the beginning on a few things. But I think the biggest surprise was getting it through Apple the first time.
Gotcha.
That was a tough hurdle. It took almost a month to get it released, over a month to get it released. And it was, they were a big company. They were a tough company, but they were also really helpful.
Okay. That's nice.
They have a group of people that, it was really fascinating. They have a group of people who do the approval process, but a separate group of people that are kind of like the auditors. So if you get to talk to a person, and we finally did it a couple of times, you have to submit stuff and wait and go back and forth. But the person you talk to isn't the person that rejected it.
No.
It's somebody else. It's just somebody else on the team, right? And what they'll never do is tell you exactly what you have to do.
Sure.
They just kind of go, okay, this seems to be kind of an area that's of concern. You should do something about that.
It's kind of like the Motion Picture Association of America. I've heard, like, when they're rating movies, they'll say, this is an NC-17. You got to cut off stuff to make it R. And Kevin Smith is like, what do I got to cut out? I don't know what to cut out. Like, just figure it out and then resubmit it. And Kevin Smith, I know, has said, like, for his movies, dozens of times they'll resubmit it. So he finally gets that R, and he's like, okay, now we're good. But they won't say, cut out this 30-second scene of whatever, and they'll make it. Like, he's got to figure it out.
Yeah, it was. That process was surprisingly difficult.
Yeah,
but it was it was also a great learning experience, right? Because we had to make some changes that I feel like better after 32 rejections, I think.
Oh, what was the number? You got to have a thick skin, I guess, right? Like, it's not personal. It's just something they have to do.
Yeah, I forget what the number was. It was a big number, way more than we were ever expecting.
Who's the toughest critic in the Franklin house when it comes to this app? Because I assume your whole family probably has the app and probably plays with it. Like, who's the one who says, like, hey, Dad, I love the app, but this part stinks. Or, you know what, this is amazing. I love everything about it. Like, who is that?
Kids, all of them. They're all brutal in their own way. Seriously. So I would say our 17. So my older kids, they were more constructive criticism and, hey, have you thought about this? And my daughter-in-law as well. So everybody, the older group of kids were different in their constructive criticism. Our 17-year-old son, he's like, oh, you need a leaderboard, or, he's a big gaming kid.
Which is a solid perspective for, like, what will get teens involved. Because, like, what an adult's going to want versus what a teen's going to want are two completely different things. You want to make sure that you're marketing to everybody, right? You
do, but then there's also the who's actually going to spend money on the product, right? That's there's kind of also that mixture. But they were really helpful. All the kids are really helpful, and I would say when we went to do the originally populate the database, there's tons and tons and tons of data points. We needed lat long, we needed trivia. There were all these things that we wanted to go kind of compile. So we just took the list and kind of parsed it out and said, okay, can you take this piece, you take this piece, you take this piece, and everybody, that was kind of cool. Everybody helped us. And even some of our close friends were like, yes, what can we do to help? We'll take this. And so it was definitely a village to help us get this thing to market. But to directly answer your question, I think our 15-year-old is probably the toughest critic. She looked at it, one of the earlier versions, that we were testing, and she goes, that button is horrible. Nobody's going to want to click that. Like she literally was like, that looks terrible. Just really.
Yeah,
like,
Jeff
wow,
and I both have 15-year-old daughters, so
I can relate. Absolutely.
we get it.
That's too funny. And you're like, okay, you could have been nicer about it though.
Savage. They're savage.
They are savage.
That they are.
Yeah. But they're also super helpful.
Yeah.
They help us with social media stuff because we both have day jobs. This is not our day job.
Right.
So it, we need all the help that we can get with some of that stuff too.
So to that point, is social media your main form of advertising, or have you done other things, or get into newsletters, or kind of like, how do you get the word out?
Social media. And then we started, we didn't do any email campaigns or any email marketing or anything like that for a long time. And then a couple of months ago, when it really started to pick up, we put some money into some email programming so that we can start to, send out welcome emails to people that have signed up for that day, do a reminder a few days in, like, hey, your trial's going to expire. There's just those kind of things to remind people, that it's there. And I do think, Jeff, you actually mentioned this before. One of our challenges is we have a trial on it, but people may take a look at it, but they're not going to go to Disney for 6 months. Right. So it's this, we're kind of trying to work through technology of how do we work that.
Right.
So
makes total sense.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're kind of working through now. But yeah, so it's been primarily social media. We had a few people we've reached out to a lot of influencers to try and see if people were interested in taking a look at the app. Some are the smaller ones, some are bigger ones. I think one of our biggest ones recently, we were going through the database and kind of pulling together. Bethany Vinton was in there from The Dish, right? So that whole group was in there. And Kelly's a huge fan. We watch, their food podcasts and all of their reviews, especially around the festival stuff.
Yep.
So we reached out and they did an episode on it. They had already planned it. It was
cool.
kind of, we weren't expecting it at all. It was just one of those things. She was like, oh, I saw the app. I downloaded it. And we just it was kind of neat to see people begin to pick it up on their own and talk about it. That's
super
the
cool.
kind of stuff you're like, all right, this is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, but social media is definitely kind of where we live and die most days. And you can tell. I mean, you can definitely tell looking at downloads, at conversions. I mean, you can definitely tell how much traffic you've had the last month.
So can you see where people come from? So for example, if someone finds you on Instagram versus on TikTok versus straight in the iOS store, like, do you see the source or just kind of see that it was downloaded?
No, because Google and Apple are pretty private about about what you can and can't see as a developer. We ask people, and they, most of the times they'll share if we do get in contact with somebody.
Yeah.
But we don't get a lot of, and some of that's probably on us. And I know there's tools and some other stuff you can do.
Sure.
But we don't get a ton of direct feedback on the platform that they found us on.
Gotcha. So last dorky question that I have for you. So
Sure.
On iOS 26 just hit last week. So obviously it's a whole new view and a whole new vision for iPhone. I'm not as familiar with Google, but I mean, I assume they have their annual
Yeah.
software update. So when all of a sudden, it goes from, whatever it was before, 17 point, whatever, it's 26, where they have like, liquid glass and a whole different set of things. Like, does that mean you have to do a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes, or is it usually just generally work? Do you look to see other features that they're adding with 26 that you want to do in there? Kind of like, does that impact you at all or not really?
It does. So we'll have to do, we're going to have to do a pretty major upgrade at the end of this year to support some Google platform changes.
Okay.
They're not cheap, but there's a lot of stuff that you just kind of have to do it to keep the platform relevant.
Sure.
And you'll get a grace period, and the iOS versions that are out there now are supported for a long time. But to your point, there's cool features that they add and things that you can take advantage of. And one of the things that we're definitely looking to add is a widget, right, for the home screen, so that you have a countdown timer that helps you, especially like for DVC. So if you're going to go,
yep,
and you need to book dining reservations, or you need to, just at least a reminder and some fun stuff like a daily this or that, or streaks and other things that, that kind of help the user base stay engaged. But there are definitely cool technical things that we'd love to go do. It's just a matter of what's practical and what everybody will really use.
Right. It's resources, right? I mean, as you said, you have a day job, you have limited financing, and obviously you're paying for this yourself. So you have to look at, the risk reward analysis there of what's worth it and what can you do on what kind of timeline,
Yeah. If it was an unlimited, budget and time, we'd have a blast.
Of course. One day, right?
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see.
Cool. Last question I had for you, and then I'll see if Megan has anything else as well. So obviously you've done this for Disney World, which is in Orlando, Florida. Have you thought about expansion to either other Disney parks or to Universal or to anything else like that?
We have. So we intentionally built the framework so that we could kind of plug and play. That was part of the thought process was, each of the things that are in the database, it's either an image or it's text. And so the ability to, there's some stuff that has to be static just so that the app will load. But the thought was, what's a destination? Where can we go?
Right.
We're in Key West this week. So, do you go to Nashville and do a bar crawl? Do you, and hit the museums, right? So not just limited to theme parks. We kind of were thinking other destination type things, but certainly, Universal seems to have a pretty good app. Other places don't. I think there's things in the Universal app I would love to see added.
Sure.
But we just felt like Disney was really the starting point for us because we knew it really well.
Right.
It's such a normal place for us to go. We do it a lot, and we're like, this was where it was, where kind of where our heart was, and it was the most fun for us.
Makes total sense. Megan, do you have any more questions or anything else you'd like to address with Rick while we have him?
I loved your app. I thought it's like such a genius idea. I love how you totally just bet on yourself. I tell my kids all the time, it took me to almost 40 years old to just get that attitude. So I love that you are betting on yourself. That's great. Your wife sounds lovely. I'm a list person myself. You should see the Notes app in my phone. It's miles long. And if you don't mind me asking, what branch of the military were you in?
I was Navy.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for your service. This was so fun. And I love everything that we talked about. And if you make a Nashville bar crawl, I'll do it.
I'll invite you when we do. We'll
all right.
We'll check it out.
Deal.
Amazing.
Done.
Amazing. So Rick, this has been great. Would you like to leave out your plugs or talk about like how people can find the app and your social stuff like that?
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that. So mouselifeapp.com is the easiest place to go, or you can go if you want to check out a little bit of our backstory, it's on there. But we're in Google Play and Apple Store. If you put Mouse Life in, it's the only one that comes up, hopefully. So, it's there. We're also same thing for Instagram and TikTok, Mouse Life app. We'd love for the audience to like and share.
Awesome. Well, Rick, thank you so much. This has been great. And Megan, obviously, as the first time I've had a co-host, I've been a guest before while Daniel Ireland was the host, but this is the first time I've had a co-host. So, Megan, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everything
Thank
you've done.
you.
And, obviously I'll have you on the show multiple times again in the future because it's always a blast, right? This is always great.
This is so fun. And I love our friendship. And even I've gotten closer with Beth. So it's all good. All good from this. Yeah.
Such a great time. So again, Mouse Life app, definitely check it out. Megan, your socials are?
I'm Peloton Disney Mom.
Oh, nice. There you go.
On TikTok and
Oh, my
Instagram,
love.
check her out. Megan puts out almost daily content on TikTok. Lots of fun stuff. She's a great follow, so definitely worth checking out.
Well, thank you guys for the invite. This has been awesome. It was great to meet you, and we really appreciate it.
Of course, always happy to help. And again, always looking to see, if we can support like up and coming businesses or even just sharing people's stories in general. So this is what we do here. So thank you for joining. For those of you at home, as a reminder, we are on all socials at Everybody Has a Story Pod. That's on Instagram. That's on TikTok. That's on YouTube. Email address for the show is everybodyhasastorypod@gmail.com. My personal Instagram is @seltzer77. If you'd like to be a future guest, definitely email the show, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at the show Instagram, or my Instagram. Excuse me. For all things Jeff Seltzer, you can check me out over at jeffseltzer.com. We're on all podcast platforms, so definitely check us out. With that said, have a great week, and we'll be back next week. Thank you so much, everybody.
Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. 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 Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer.